Take the high ground, or the high ground is going to take you. It's good to take the high ground because it allows you to see more. And if you can see something, you can shoot it. The view will allow you to have better situational awareness. But if this is all you're thinking about and you're not taking anything else into consideration, it might give you some problems. You might find that you have some ventilation holes that you weren't planning on. But the first problem is a side effect of the main advantage. You can see more and further from an elevated position. But if you have line of sight on someone, they have line of sight on you. The larger the area you're looking at, the more possible places someone could be observing you from. And if you think about it, the best high ground vantage point is also the most obvious position to get set up in, so it's likely that players will be checking there first, and you should be as well. You can mitigate this to a degree by using cover and concealment as best you can if you're taking one of these high positions. Minimize your line of sight and exposure, and then find your targets through small openings. Look through and past your cover and concealment. If you're not using cover and someone is looking up at you, you run the risk of silhouetting or skylining yourself. You can mitigate this by not standing at the very top of the high ground, or only doing so for a very limited time. And when you're moving, you can stay below the top as well. If you're going along a ridge, don't walk along the very crest. Be careful with rooftops. Consider going to a high level in the building instead of the roof. If you can get the job done from a couple of floors down, you'll be much safer that way. The other problem is your avenue of escape. If you're getting shot at, how quickly can you get down from there? Can they block off your exits when you're trying to get down? Can they sneak up behind you or climb up on your tower or hill? How many different directions can they approach you from to get in close range? So pick a position that allows you to leave without getting trapped, surrounded, or slowed down too much. If you have some friends, get someone to guard the exits rather than just sitting up in the same spot with you. Your plan of retreat is just as important as your plan of attack unless you're suicidal. Here's some footage from the first video I ever uploaded. It's from 2013. Back then I'd often have a kill to death ratio of about 10 to 1. At times I'd get over 30 or 40 kills with a single character. And most of those kills were players who were making poor decisions with their positioning. You can see these people have climbed to the top of the buildings, they're camping on top, and also using the added advantage of third-person cameras to spot other players below them without being seen, then they pop up and shoot. But they've also painted themselves into a corner, and they have nowhere to go once I start shooting. If I get fire returned on my position, I can jump up and start running, find cover, and they can't. And these vantage points I'm using at this time were quite exposed, but I'm only staying for a short time and then changing position after firing. Also think about how they have the high ground compared to the other players in the town, but they're also surrounded by hills, the ones that I'm working from. High ground is a relative thing. You might be above the players in your immediate vicinity, but you're still exposed to other high points, so that's just another thing to consider. Defilade is about using variation in the terrain to avoid line of sight with your enemy. Defilade is not the hill in front of you that you're using as cover, it's the space where your enemy has no line of sight so they can't shoot you. Without plunging fire, that is, but we're not going to talk about that. So defilade is a different concept to cover, which is the thing in front of you. And don't just use defilade as cover to avoid being immediately shot. Use it to move without being observed, to gain positional advantage. Even on an open field with no structures, there are usually slight peaks and troughs that you can use to find defilade. When someone is in defilade, it's a bad idea to come straight over the top as you'll be silhouetted yourself. Flank around the side, maneuver on them using defilade also. And when a team has set themselves up in a defilade or behind cover like this wall, they might take up a line formation against the cover so that they're facing the enemy. If you're able to flank them while they're positioned like this, they are now caught in what is called enfilade, which is basically worst case scenario for them. You're able to shoot at center mass of the group and you'll probably hit something, even if you're not that accurate, while they're unable to get all their guns in the fight because they're shooting past each other. Here I've set up some bots so that I'm in a flanking position and they're facing the same direction to the right in a column, but they're not in enfilade. So you can see that it takes longer for me as I need to turn and find each new target while the others are returning fire at the same time. So the advantage of enfilade is pretty obvious. So that's a very quick summary of high ground, enfilade and defilade, with hopefully just enough information so that you can quickly go out and apply it in a game.